saw this immense object in the field over there with lights that were spinning, and it was something we had never seen before. It took up most of this valley, and it was just hovering. It was just hovering, and we were mesmerized.
Gloria Bonacci and her friend Mary saw something too.
We were walking along, and all of a sudden we looked up and there was an object. It seemed to come out of nowhere. And of course we were scared and we ducked down in some tall grass behind a fence line. It was football shaped, it had red lights. All of a sudden it went up, and horizontally it went toward the high bluff, and it just kind of went below the bluff and then seemed to just go really fast and be gone.
Pascagoula, Mississippi. A small, laid-back town home to America's largest military shipbuilding company, Gulf beaches, and lots of seafood.
God, family, and fishing. That's what it is.
But this southern town was thrown into the national spotlight in the 1970s for a completely different reason.
My name's Calvin Parker. I'm 64 years old. I was abducted by something. I don't know what it was or where it was from.
Back in 1973, Parker had just moved to town to work with Charles Hickson.
Very first day at work, October 11th of 1973. We worked all day, got off work, and he asked me, he said, "Do you want to go fishing?"
They went fishing on steel docks off the Pascagoula River, past a no trespassing sign, when he says the extraterrestrial happened.
And it was so bright it was blinding, and these lights was coming from inside a crowd. And then before we knew it, we both stood up and was already turned around and looking. It was three, I can't say where they was from or what they were, but it was like a robotic creature because they moved mechanically. And they got to us. Two of them got a hold of Charlie, one got a hold of myself. The very minute that they grabbed me, I felt an injection in my arm. They lifted us and took us aboard. This female-looking creature, she came out. Now she had regular facial features, ears and eyes, nose. The only difference I seen in her than what we would, and if you think about it and look at your hands, these two fingers right here are longer, and they was just a little bit longer than ours on her. And she took this right hand and she run it up down the back of my throat. Well, I started choking.
He said the beings who took him made it known they did not mean any harm.
That's when he picked me up and they carried me out, set me back down by the river.
A story that dominated the front page of the Mississippi Press for over a week. UFOs were the talk of the state. NASA got involved. Police lines were busy 24 hours a day.
The Air Force, they spent their own money to come down here to investigate this and to talk to people and interview witnesses and things.
Hickson and Parker gave matching statements to police, passed polygraphs and lie detector tests. But one reporter wrote security cameras in the area showed nothing that night. Others questioned the legitimacy of the polygraphs. The spotlight was too much for Parker.
This happened in 1973, and I never, ever had told none of my family what happened.
He lived on the run, basically, from society itself because, of course, people thought he was crazy.
To die each year from hard winters, disease, lightning strikes, predator attacks, and other natural causes. But in northeastern Colorado, another favorite spot for the mutilators, Tex Graves, former sheriff of Logan County, insists the 93 mutilated carcasses he investigated were not natural deaths.
The very first one we had was southwest of Sterling. When we first looked at it, it was just unbelievable that you could take an animal and do this too without leaving some kind of track, some kind of evidence behind, such as cigarette butts, matches, handprints, footprints, but there was nothing. The animal looked almost horrible, and it was something that I didn't really want to believe then. And there was, we probably had 5 or 6 others before I really did believe something strange was going on. We found tripod marks 12 inches across. The tripod marks were 14 feet apart. We found one set that had gone in the ground roughly 8 inches. And it would take a good post hole digger or shovel to dig in like this. It indicated something very heavy had set down in this area, yet there was no tracks leading from it nor to it. Almost nightly when this was going on, we could pick out a very brilliant, huge, brilliant light in the sky. We had a newsman take pictures of it with a very high-powered lens, but all we got out of this was the movement of it and the light showing very brilliant. Several times we observed smaller lights come out of this aircraft and then come down toward Earth. This huge, brilliant light would hang in the air, and then when it would move, it could move up and down, backwards, forwards, travel very rapidly. And after a while, these smaller lights would join up with the larger one, and then they'd disappear.
Lou Gerardo is the chief investigator for the district attorney's office in Trinidad, Colorado. Extraterrestrials are the ones mutilating animals. What do you think the implications are then for this planet?
Throughout the mutilations, all of us involved have been concerned with the possibility of the mutilations going from animals to human beings, understandably. Thank God to this point it hasn't happened. Whatever they're doing with the portions of these animals they are taking, I haven't the slightest idea. There's a reason for it. It's not haphazard. There's a pattern to it. I don't know. I think it's a wait-and-see game. What else can we do? If we do have beings from outer space doing this with the capabilities to do things like this, what can we as a human race do? If they have the knowledge and the technology that it looks like they have, we're powerless. So maybe it's a wait-and-see game. I can't see anything else to do.
I'm what people call a lifetime contactee. This has been happening since I can remember.
We're here because a group of, we'll call them like-minded individuals that have had alien abduction experiences get together once a year.
Because I was dealing with the typical, like, the movie aliens, the Greys. I have, I want to call it a Grey, but she's not Grey. It's a female. She calls herself Mucky. I met her in Rhode Island when I lived in Rhode Island. And I woke up to knowing there was somebody in the room with me. And I saw by the door a little shadow duck behind the bureau. I'm like, I know you're there, I see you. But her skin is really what got me, because I got a good look at this face, and it was like a pink face, like a translucent pink, like swirling, like mercury. When you touch mercury, it kind of swirls. She reached out and she grabbed my hand, and I felt the cold, like clammy little fingers. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm holding hands with, and then she's communicating with me. I don't remember the entire conversation, but I remember hearing some kind of a voice, a disembodied voice saying, you know, enough. I would try to keep my sister awake. Stay awake with me, stay, you know, they're coming. They would come in with cloaks on, like capes, covered most of their bodies, and you get hit with this energy. Your whole body starts vibrating, and you get paralyzed. You can't speak out of your mouth, but you can, they talk to you in your mind. They actually levitate you off the bed. They can throw you through solid walls. I've gone through walls, ceilings, windows. When I'm taken, it doesn't matter. But I've seen them morph and change into human-looking beings, and then all of a sudden there's a giant lizard standing in front of you. It's just like, okay. These experiences, I mean, they're not only unbelievable to the experiencer themselves, but it's something that's traumatic. A lot of times I will feel that sickness before I even know they're in the room. Like I'll hear this weird buzzing and this feeling of dread just comes over you. I'm like, oh man, here we go again, you know, gotta deal with this jerk. PTSD is very rampant. And the way that you feel when you're around these negative beings, it's like you feel like death. When we get together, we do what's called the CE5, Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind. And we look at the sky and we ask our friends up there that are up there if they would, you know, show themselves or do something and communicate with us. When we're ready, we can go down to the beach and just start doing the sky watch if you want. The sky is lit up. It's things you can't explain, like giant flashes or, you know, just crafts that go and stop, and then they go down, and then they go, and mystery lights is showing up everywhere.
What's going on?
There was when you checked.
It's down one. It's not full anymore.
Yeah.
They tend to drain batteries from phones and cameras. Like I said, bring extra batteries when you come.
I think the audio is breaking up a little bit. He's got a mic underneath his shirt, and Daniel here isn't quite sure. I don't know if he's experienced this before.
I have.
So
that's just that's the best part.
Oh, you're going to have nothing but technical glitches this whole thing. Like this particular watch. This is the only kind of watch I can wear. No other watch works. It stops. Same thing with cell phones. I burn through cell phones, anything electronic.
They'll shut every phone down. If they don't want it filmed, they're going to stop it being filmed, and something extraordinary will happen that you can't explain. There's thousands of us, if not millions of us around, and we cannot all be, you know, having this mass delusion. No.